And you ever seen the movie 48 Hours? Right now, he's having 48 hours with Diddy, him and his boy. They're having the times of their lives, like, you know, where we hanging out and what we doing. We can't really disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream. You know, I have been given custody of him. You know, he signed to Usher.
It was hard for me being that young and being in the industry and not knowing where to turn, and everyone, you know, telling me they loved me and, you know, just turn their back on you.
People don't know how serious it got. Like, it was legit crazy scary. I was waking up in the morning and the first thing I was doing is popping pills and smoking a blunt and starting my day. You know, so it just got scary. I basically said to myself, oh my God, if you're real, you get me through this season of stopping these pills and stuff, and if you do, I'll do the rest of the work.
And then it's, what's the odds that you would do that in front of the camera? Like that's one of the moments where you forgot it was on.
For years, the public has been presented with a familiar narrative about Justin Bieber and Sean Diddy Combs. A gifted teenager enters the music industry, is embraced by a powerful mentor, and is guided toward international superstardom. On the surface, it appears to be a classic success story, one that mirrors countless other tales of young talent being shaped by industry giants. However, new claims connected to the recent Diddy documentary suggest that this version of events only reveals a fraction of what truly occurred behind the scenes. According to statements linked to the documentary, Justin Bieber has reportedly said that he saw far more than what audiences were shown. Not only did he witness the final, edited footage, but he was also aware of material that was later removed, footage, conversations, and moments that never made it into the finished series. More significantly, Bieber has indicated that he was not merely an observer. He lived through many of these experiences himself. To A.S. Diddy's protege, Bieber was deeply embedded in his world from a very young age. He spent extended time around him, learned directly from him, and was influenced by that environment during some of the most formative years of his life. Diddy introduced him to how the industry truly operates, how power is exercised behind closed doors, how fame is navigated, and how influence can shape careers. Yet that level of access also came with exposure to situations the public never saw and was never meant to see. This context raises important questions about what was reportedly cut from the documentary and why certain details may have been excluded. Bieber's perspective is especially critical because it comes from someone who was not only close to Diddy, but also young, vulnerable, and still developing when he entered that world. By examining his connection to Diddy and the experiences he claims to have endured, a far more complex and unsettling picture of that era begins to emerge. This is not simply about creative editing choices. It is about understanding what remained hidden, who was aware of it, and how it may have affected one of the biggest pop stars in the world. For a long time, many questioned whether 50 Cent would ever follow through on what he had been hinting at. He dropped comments, issued warnings, and gave interviews, yet no completed project appeared. Now that project exists. The multi-part documentary series aims to trace Diddy's entire rise, not just the success, but the environment that surrounded him, the power, the access, and the silence that often accompany proximity to him. Throughout the series, old clips resurface that feel drastically different today. Moments once dismissed as jokes or standard industry behavior now carry a much heavier weight. One of the most disturbing involves a very young Justin Bieber spending prolonged, private time under Diddy's supervision. At the time, it was framed as mentorship and opportunity, but viewed through today's lens, and alongside Bieber's later admissions about how dark and destructive that period of his life was, the lack of transparency and emphasis on secrecy feels deeply troubling. Bieber has said that the darkness he experienced during that time was so overwhelming that he does not believe he would have survived if it had continued. When someone who lived through those moments says the context changes everything, it becomes clear that this documentary was never meant to be a polished tribute. Instead, it challenges viewers to reconsider what they thought they knew and confront the uncomfortable realities that may have been hidden in plain sight.
She's a victim of all this because she came in as such, she's like 18, like 19 years old. In the very beginning, after a while, over time, conditioned.
The voices featured in the series come from people who were once inside the inner circle. Former associates, security personnel, artists, and industry insiders describe an atmosphere driven by control and fear. They recount behavior that steadily spiraled out of control, environments where excess was not only accepted but encouraged, and situations that pushed individuals to their breaking point. These are not distant rumors or secondhand allegations. They are first-hand accounts from people who claim they barely escaped with their lives. When the documentary premiered on Netflix in early December, the reaction was immediate and explosive. Clips spread rapidly across social media, and viewers were shocked by how direct and unapologetic many of the claims were, especially given that Diddy is currently incarcerated and awaiting trial. The timing alone made it feel as though an unspoken boundary had finally been crossed. Yet despite the intensity of what was revealed, it quickly became clear that the series did not tell the whole story. 50 Cent himself suggested that only a fraction of what he uncovered made it to the screen. Some material was reportedly deemed too dangerous to air, while other stories were still developing as the documentary went live. As soon as people realized the silence was breaking, new voices began stepping forward to understand why certain details remain buried. It is necessary to look back at the history of Bad Boy Records itself. The late 1990s were about far more than just music.
The hip-hop is fine with his behaviors. There's no one else being vocal. So you would look at it and just say, because that mind your business, or let me not say nothing about nothing, or those things, it would allow the entire culture to register as if they're for that behavior.
If Sean Combs watches this, what do you think he's going to feel?
Like, wow, this is amazing. I think he's gonna say this is the best documentary I've seen in a long time. Because you'll see people saying that, but he may feel a different way about pieces and bits of it, but he knows the truth. I think he'll see the truth in it.
They were about territory, power, and survival. When the notorious B.I.G. was killed in Los Angeles in 1997, the shock rippled through the entire music industry. The public narrative centered on the tragic loss of a legend and the violence tied to the East Coast, West Coast rivalry. Behind the scenes, however, panic set in. Artists and insiders were suddenly scattered, left exposed, and unsure of whom they could trust. That same night, other members of the Bad Boy circle were facing their own dangers. One artist later described being effectively trapped, isolated, and surrounded by people he believed might be there to hurt him. The protection he expected never came. Individuals who should have stood by him vanished, and in that moment, any illusion of loyalty collapsed. What had once been framed as brotherhood or family became something else entirely. Survival replaced solidarity, and the years that followed, subtle signals began to surface. Interviews where artists spoke cautiously, choosing words that hinted at far more than they could safely reveal. Mentions of documents, knowledge, and experiences that could not be discussed without consequences. The underlying message was unmistakable. Being inside that world meant carrying information that could put you at risk simply for acknowledging it. This is why Justin Bieber's comments resonate so strongly now. When he says he saw everything, including what was later removed, it no longer sounds like exaggeration. It sounds like recognition of a pattern he knows well. Early access to powerful spaces, silence presented as protection, experiences that remain buried for years, only resurfacing when the environment finally shifts. The 50 Cent documentary is not just about exposing one individual. It pulls at a thread that stretches across decades of unchecked influence and control. Justin Bieber's story may be one of the clearest examples of just how long and far that thread extends. The series does not merely omit minor details. It sidesteps entire people, timelines, and perspectives that would have made the narrative far more complex and far more unsettling. There is one glaring absence that makes those gaps impossible to ignore. It centers on Justin Bieber, not as a brief cameo or background figure, but as a central story so uncomfortable that it appears to have been avoided altogether. In 2009, Bieber was only 15 years old, a teenager from Canada who had just been discovered online, recording songs in his bedroom with little understanding of how the industry truly worked. His fame was brand new, his circle was small, and his power was virtually non-existent. That was the moment he entered Diddy's orbit.
You good?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Young brother, everything's good?
Everything's
Selling
great.
out arenas and everything? Starting to act different, huh?
No.
You ain't been calling me and hanging out the way we used to hang out.
Well, you tried to get in contact with me, through all my, partners and whatnot.
That same year, Diddy uploaded a video to his own YouTube channel titled Justin Bieber, 48 Hours with Diddy. On the surface, it appears lighthearted and playful, a powerful music executive spending time with the next rising star. Diddy frames it as a dream scenario for a teenager, the kind of opportunity most young artists could only imagine. But as the clip continues, the tone subtly shifts in a way that has unsettled viewers in hindsight. At one point, Diddy says he has custody of Bieber for 48 hours. He then adds a line that has never sat well with people who revisit the video today. He openly states that where they are going and what they are doing cannot be disclosed. That detail is the core issue. This was not said privately or off camera. It was stated publicly on video about a minor, a 15-year-old boy spending 2 full days alone with one of the most powerful figures in the music industry, with a clear emphasis on secrecy. That is not typical mentorship. It is not standard industry behavior. The fact that it was presented so casually at the time only makes it more disturbing in retrospect. In the video, Bieber is smiling and looks excited, but context changes everything. We now understand how vulnerable he was during those early years, how quickly fame consumed him, and how close he came to self-destruction. When the footage resurfaced years later, especially after Diddy's arrest, public perception shifted dramatically. Comment sections filled with reactions describing the clip as unsettling, inappropriate, and deeply uncomfortable. What once seemed like a celebrity hangout began to feel like something far more troubling. And yet, 50 Cent's documentary does not include it. There is no clip, no reference, and no discussion of those 48 hours at all. In 2025, Justin Bieber's team released a carefully worded statement that only added to the unease. His representative clarified that Bieber was not identifying himself as a victim of Diddy. However, in the same statement, they acknowledged that other individuals were genuinely harmed. That distinction matters. It implies awareness without disclosure, experience without specifics, and survival without explanation. Bieber himself has spoken openly about how dark that period of his life was. He has said plainly that he does not believe he would be alive today if things had continued the way they were. He credits stepping away and finding stability as what ultimately saved him. When those statements are placed alongside the 2009 video, the questions become impossible to ignore. What actually happened during those 48 hours? Why was secrecy emphasized so strongly? And why was this footage excluded from a documentary that claims to expose the truth? Justin Bieber is not the only example. Years before him, another child star entered Diddy's world. In the early 1990s, Usher was just 13 years old when his family sent him to live with Diddy in New York for an entire year. The arrangement was known as Puffy Flavor Camp.